What's up, everybody? Hope you have an amazing day so far. I'm your host Phil, and in today's video, I'm super excited to check out Extinction Level Event by Spectre Digital. Let's roll the intro clip, let's listen to a demo track, and then get right into it. What's the first thing that comes into mind when you hear somebody talking about drum samples? Is it Easy Drummer? Is it Toontrack's Superior Drummer? Is it Steven Slate's SSD? Or is it maybe even Bogan Digital's drum libraries? Or is it maybe somebody fucking screaming right into your ear? Because I gotta be honest with you, that's exactly the first thing which comes to my mind when we're talking about drum samples. That's right, Glenn Fricker screaming right into my face why the hell I would ever think of doing so. He used to be on the forefront whenever it came about bitching about people using drum samples in their music, until he learned a few years ago that one of his favorite records, Megadeth's P-Cells, actually also uses drum samples, and he was really blown away, and that really had like a change of heart to it. So he went ahead with his company Spectre Digital and designed the Extinction Level Event drum sample library. The fine folk at Spectre Digital have reached out to me and asked if I want to check out the Extinction Level Event, and I was super happy to do so because I already checked out the Icon Classic Rock kit. I really liked what I heard back then, and yeah, I want to also disclaim that Spectre Digital has reached out to me and they're paying me for this video. So just full transparency over here. You will still get my honest thoughts and opinions. After all, I'm just showing what the plugin's capable of doing, and we're going to check it out together. So let's dig right into it. First things first, let's get the Extinction Level Event drums onto your PC. In order to do that, you have to download the Native Access app from Native Instruments and then install the Contact Player as well as the Extinction Level Drums library. Now, I know that Native Instruments is, to be viewed a little bit skeptical because of the preliminary insolvency case which is going on right now. So, however, I do believe, first of all, that Contact in some shape or form will survive. It will be taken over maybe by another company. And if not, then there will perhaps be like a native, no pun intended, porting of the drum library to, like its own program. I reached out already to the people at Spectre Digital, but I haven't received a reply yet if that is in the works. Now, when you go to the Native Access app over here, you can go to the Add Serial space. There you enter the serial, which you basically bought off from Spectre Digital, and then you get access to download the Extinction Level Event Master Kit, which I already did and installed. So everything is done. Let's move over to Reaper into a project and check out what it can do. I now got the Reaper project going on with Extinction Level Event engaged. This is the project where I also have the full song of the playthrough song which you just heard, as well as a drum loop where I got plenty of the kit actually playing so that we can listen to some sounds. More on that later. I first want to talk about the graphical user interface. You're first greeted with the drum kit in all of its glory, with all of the different sample parts over here where you can click on them and choose different setups. More on that in a bit. And you can click on them, as I said before, in order to play back the tone which is currently loaded. I'm going to mute my microphone over here and then play through that kit, basically. A feature which is very common in a lot of drum libraries is that when you click on the arrow, you have different options to choose from. So different snares, for example, different kicks, different toms, sometimes even different cymbals. In this particular case with Extinction Level Event, there's a lot of different choices on the snare, which I really like. There are also different tunings, which I really appreciate, because that way you can keep the natural resonances of a snare and you don't have to virtually pitch them up, which loses a little bit of that natural timbre. Let's check this out with the PDP Bell Bronze snare over here, which has 3 different tunings. We're going to start with low and work our way up. Now it becomes very apparent that these are completely different sounding snares. I mean, technically they're the same snare, but depending on the situation, you might want to take one over the other. And you got a lot of different options. For example, on the Tama Star Classic, you have different microphone options, which I really appreciate. Same thing on the drums over here. Sometimes you also have clear coatings, coated skins, all of those different options. On the cymbals, it's a little bit more, like rudimentary. We have mostly one single setup, except for the ride, where we got 2 different over here. We got the 21-inch and the 20-inch. Looking further into the graphical user interface, we got the shell mix and the cymbal mix, which are basically full-fledged mixers in the box. Now, this is something which is becoming more and more common and popular within drum samples, but I really think that they hit it out here out of the park, how many options we have. So when you go to the shell mix, of course, you have the mixer interface over here with all the faders. You can set up the pan to your liking, solo, mute, all of that. But not only that, but per channel, you have also different effects which you can apply to that. So we always have like our baseline EQs, one regular parametric EQ, one transient shaper, another SSL style EQ, then a compressor, and then a saturation plugin. So you can do all different types of things. In addition to all of the mixing tools which I just mentioned, we also have stuff like the bleed control, where we really can hone in and define how much bleed we want to have. For example, from the hi-hat into all of the other microphones, from the tom into the snare microphone, and so on and so forth. We have a pitch functionality, reverb, which we can set up. When it comes to the snare and the kick, we also can load one-shot samples in there, which we can then drive in parallel to the played MIDI sound of that drum library, which is really cool. And on the cymbal mix, we also have some, like channel-specific setups, like, for example, on the effect cymbal, we can set the pans for the different splashes, and then over here, on this one, I think this is like cranking this up to Hall. We have all of these different options. And on the master track, we have an EQ, bus compressor. We have a tape if we want to use that, like tape saturation, and then verb plate. And over here on the master bleed, we can either turn all the bleed on so that we have like a very natural sounding drum kit, or we can purge all and then set the bleed to our likings. Super useful, everything crammed within the plugin. I really like that, because that allows to create presets, which a lot of, like sought after engineers have done with their tones. And that allows me as a normal user to use their tones and then tweak them really to my liking, and already have kind of mix ready results already. We're going to play a little bit with the mixing at a later point in time. Let me first go through the other graphical user elements. In the groove section, Spectre Digital has provided some MIDI grooves for us, which we can use to kind of build our own tracks and get a starting point. I'm going to demonstrate this later, where we're going to kind of create our own song with these grooves, and I'm going to play a little bit over that just to show you how you can get very quickly inspired to do your own stuff and kind of get a starting point, which is really cool that we have that already. In the settings menu, there's like a MIDI mapping setup, and what I really like about this is that we have a ton of different mapping presets. Having these mapping presets makes it super easy to change from one drum library to another, because I always interchange between Stephen Slate SSD5, Bogan Digital's Crim, and now perhaps also Extinction Level Event, because I really like what I'm hearing. And yeah, that just allows me to really convert very quickly in the middle of the project, just see what fits best, and then make my choice in that regard. So that's really cool. I do believe that the Guitar Pro drum MIDI mapping over here will really help people out getting creative, because a lot of people out there are still composing on Guitar Pro and then just want to drop in the MIDI drums which they programmed in the program Guitar Pro and then just have them roll over with, for example, Extinction Level Event. So very cool and very thoughtful that they have added these mapping presets in there. Now that we have spoken about the basics of the graphical user interface, let's get into some tone shaping, and I want to first start out with the mixing setup. Now, please be aware, I'm not a professional engineer by any means, so I'm just going to kind of freeball this over here. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to load one of my drum loops which I made, which has a lot of the different drum elements. I'm just going to play this one time for you. That drum track we're just going to use as a reference. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to load a preset which I at first did not like at all, and then kind of shape it to my liking, just that you kind of get an understanding on how powerful the mixing tools in this plugin are. I'm going to take the Mendel Abort preset over here. It sounds like this. While I'm absolutely sure that this will sound amazing for the music which Mendel is doing, because he really knows what's going on tone-wise, I personally find that the toms are a little bit harsh on this one, like very clicky in that regard. So that's something which I disliked, and the snare sounded a little bit thin. So let's just check out the tom roll over here. What I first want to do is I want to change the snare, obviously. Now, here we have like a piccolo snare, so here I'm going to take the Bell Bronze medium size thing, and that's already going to change a lot of the perception of the overall drum tone. So you already could hear that the snare brings a lot more weight into that one. Now, on the toms, I didn't really want to change anything in regards of the instruments chosen, because over here we got the D6 stuff chosen, except for here. Let's check over here the D6 as well. And what I instead want to do is I want to go into the equalization setting, and here I can see that the high frequencies around, like 5 kilohertz or even higher in some regards, over here 8 kilohertz, and there we go. So these frequencies are really pushed a little bit. Let's put them all to, kind of 0, like let's take the high frequencies away, because I personally don't like that when it's set up that high and that clicky. So let me do it like this. I'm just freeballing this basically. Okay, now listen to how different that sounds. Now, there were some toms which still have that high clicky frequency. Let me rid that out shortly. There we go. EQ is there. EQ is there. There we go. Tom 3 had that still. Okay, there we go. And Tom 1 as well. Okay, let's listen now. I like that much, much, much more. And now, like even these small changes already gave me a completely different picture of how the drum kit in itself sounds. Let's listen again to the actual preset. For that, I'm just going to go back and forth. So we're again on the Mendel preset. Now you can see how powerful these tools are. Those were slight EQ changes in that regard. I just took the high frequencies off and rolled them off a little bit, and that's what we're getting. Totally different sound in my opinion. So this just shows that If you are capable of doing stuff, then you really can hone in on this and really craft all of your tones needed in the plugin itself. Having all of these controls in the mixing setup and all of these different samples offer a huge variety of tones. Unfortunately, I cannot show all of the stuff which this plugin is capable of, but I'm gonna try to at least give you kind of a picture on what's going on, and I think the best way is to do that via the presets. I'm just gonna roll this drum loop over here and then flicker through the different presets. Please mind that sometimes, for example, you can see over here, the small tom is not activated. I did not adjust that for all of the different drums, so sometimes you will hear that that drum simply is not present within the respective preset. Let's walk through the presets, and then you get a picture of what's going on. Let's go over to the next section, the groove section. Now, Spectre Digital has a lot of different grooves implemented over here, which we can use. How this works is you basically choose one of the songs, they call it, like groove collections, which fit together. it makes sense that you choose something which matches to the BPM of your project, because otherwise it's gonna sound a little bit weird. I got 170 over here. 170 BPM on song 16 is perfect, and then you just double click yourself through the grooves in order to audition them, and then choose what you like. Let's go, for example, with groove number 1. And then you just decide, oh, do I like that? If you like that, then you can drag it from down below over here as a MIDI file into your MIDI track over here. And once you open that one up, then you can see that this is loaded and working. Now you can change, manipulate, do all of the different stuff with that. Let's just go ahead and, I don't know, change this to a bell. Oh, hang on. I would now go ahead and try to find out where the bell is. And then maybe do something like this. Of course, this is just an example. This does not sound good to me, so I'm just going to delete that, re-drag that back into here. I just want to kind of show that you can use this as a starting, as a starting place for your drum programming adventures. I want to have this groove twice because that is a nice intro part, and then move over to something which is a little bit more, like normal groove, like groove 3, for example. So cool stuff. Let's drag that over here, like so. Also play that twice. And then groove 7, I believe, or maybe groove 6, is a little bit more, like that stompy mid-tempo thing. I think groove 7 was a little bit better. Yep, I like that more. So let's go with groove 7. And then again, copy the intro section. Or let's listen to groove 10, how that sounds. Sounds a little bit strange. What about 9? Let's just copy groove 1 there again, since I know what it's all about. I already got a signal chain going on, so now I can basically play guitar to my song which I just created. I'm using this Balaguer Espada over here. Really awesome guitar, which the fine folks at Balaguer Guitars sent me over, so I'm super grateful for that one. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm just gonna roll with the metronome over here and play a little bit metal. And there you have it. Now, basically, I kind of played along to a new created song. It's just getting creative juices to flow, and that's exactly what the groove section is so awesome for, because it puts you out of the comfort zone. You just, smack together a song, you just play a little bit around with that one, then move from there onward. So for those people who are not capable of, programming your own drums and coming up with some grooves on your own, this might be the excellent tool to just get you started. Let's wrap up this video with my final closing thoughts and my conclusion. Now, I'll be very upfront and blunt with you. If I wouldn't have enjoyed Extinction Level Event, you would not see this video, period. And it nearly came to this point, I have to say. When I first opened up the drum library, the factory preset did not do it for me at all. No matter the tweaking I did in the mixing, I just could not get it to sit right and sound good within the context of that full mix which you heard. But then I went through the presets and I slowly got closer and closer to my, ideal sound. And especially when I stumbled upon the Mendel preset, that was kind of when it all made sense to me. And then with a little bit tweaking, then I found exactly the tone which I was searching for and which really impressed me. And that is something which, gives me a lot of satisfaction, because I nearly threw in the towel and said, okay, we're not going to do this video. I don't got the time for this. And then I stuck to my guns. I went through this and I had this really enjoyable learning curve. That showed me that often the problem is not within the tool, but actually sitting right in front of the tool. Listening to the end results, I must say this is definitely one of the better sounds which I had on the channel, period. And I do think that this is due to Extinction Level Event and its total array of possibilities. You have so much mixing possibilities, so many different snare sounds in there, which all sound very organic and natural, but you still can really use nicely to process. And that's something where Extinction Level Event for me personally stands out against the competition. I'm super impressed. I can wholeheartedly recommend that one. There's going to be a link down below in the description box below and also here on the screen. So go to Spectre Digital's website, check it out. The pricing is right. I think it's around 120 euros, sometimes on sale for round about 60 to 70 euros. So absolutely fair game in that regard. Yeah, just go ahead, check it out if you have the chance to, and enjoy that. With that out of the way, I really want to thank Spectre Digital once again for trusting in me as a content creator. I really appreciate that one. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed what we were seeing over here. Hope to see you in the next video, and until then, keep it metal.